Hi everyone, it's Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer, and today we're going to get really practical. Spirituality is always practical, but sometimes we don't know how to use it practically, and it can get away from us, and we can get a little lost in perhaps the newness of it, or even just I want things to be better, so I'm not going to pay attention to the physical world that I'm living in, and I'm just going to pay attention to the energetic world and hope that things will get better. But today, we're going to get really practical and keep it in the physical, using our spiritual tools, because I have heard too many times from too many of you as this energy continues and we are being asked to look at and let go of those beliefs that no longer serve us, that you are entering into periods of anxiety and depression. The reason that you are being asked to look at that which you're holding on to, those beliefs, that trauma, those things from the past, the fear, is not so that you can be hurt, not so you can re-experience it. It's not because you're bad or you deserve to be punished. It is so you can let go and move on. So today, we are going to have my angel guides help us with overcoming anxiety and depression. They begin. Dear ones, it's most important that you neither condemn nor criticize yourself or another who is dealing with depression. I don't know whether the people that are on the call at this moment have had that happen to them, but if you have been criticized for being depressed or anxious, I am so sorry. That was not deserved, and it did not honor you, and I'm absolutely certain it didn't help solve the problem. Although there can be many underlying causes of depression, from the physical to the emotional, there is only one root source, and that is spiritual misalignment. It's not possible for any of you to separate from God, but you can believe that your actions and decisions can make it possible. It's this belief that you can be cut off and cast away that causes so much heartache and dissatisfaction. Whenever the heart is feeling disconnected from source, a depression of some type will follow. The cure for any type of depression is to understand that you are loved unconditionally, that there is no action, belief, or creed that could prevent you from being connected to and loved by source. Let's just take a moment. I talk to people from all walks of life with all different kinds of beliefs. And the one thing that I am prompted to tell each one that my angel guides tell me to tell them over and over and over again is, you are loved. You are loved just as you are. So it does not matter whether you believe in God, you choose not to believe in God, or you think, well, maybe God exists, but I really don't want anything to do with the idea of religion or any of those cults or any of those belief systems. You don't have to believe. You are loved no matter what. Absolutely loved. However, before you'll be able to believe and apply this truth to your life, you may need to clean up other factors, physical and emotional, that are contributing to the idea that separation can occur. No matter how hard you try, nothing and no one can break your bond with God. Nothing exists that's separate from God. Everything is comprised of energy and everything is interconnected. And just for a minute, let's understand it doesn't matter the name that you're ascribing to the energy that is the supreme creator. Universe, God, Allah, divine, infinite intelligence, source. I think I got them all. Whatever or however you choose to reference this being, there is one energy that has created everything else. I'm sure there are many other names for this energy that I have not addressed. It's all I can think of at this moment. If I didn't name one of yours, forgive me. It's just all I can think of at this moment. But everything is included under the umbrella of this most high energy. It's indisputable. And if you ever spend time, real time, when you are connecting, you will understand. I can't put it into words. It's something that you must experience for yourself. But once you have that experience where you truly connect, even if it's just for a second, you really open yourself to receive, you will understand this truth. Everything is comprised of energy and everything is interconnected. Distance, separation, isolation are merely illusions put in place by the ego that wants to feel and maintain a position of superiority. The ego, which is also a made-up state, believes that it has dominion over your life. It is our thing to push against because we grow best when we have something that we need to learn from or learn about. Its survival depends on it. Survival depends on it, that you believe that it has dominion. So it fosters situations and erroneous belief systems that support the idea that you can be separate from God or separate from each other. Relax into the knowledge that you're never alone and learn to explore your physical journeys from a position of safety and security. Now, you have to understand, even that person that you profess that you can't stand is still connected to you. There is still a loving core in that person, no matter how they chose to show up on this physical journey. In the authentic self part of you, the God-connected self of you is able to recognize and be grateful for the love that this person, when they're being their authentic self, shares with others. So even if you might say to yourself, I can't stand that person or I hate that person, you still hold somewhere in your being, in your authentic self, which you may or may not be able to reach depending on how closed-minded you've chosen to be on this journey. You still recognize them as an energy just like you that has goodness and love and is part of God just as you are a part of God. But let's now begin digging down into some causes that can contribute to the depressed state or the anxious state. As I promised today that we were going to be really practical. When one is not feeling physically able, depression often comes calling. We have mentioned before that the physical is the last of the bodies to respond to what is happening energetically. The physical, which is the densest layer, takes the longest to succumb to energetic shifts and is the last to recover. By the time you experience a physical symptom, The problem has been brewing in the energetic space for quite some time. This is why we ask you to stay focused on the energetic, where you can ward off problems before they can develop, as opposed to the physical, where you must deal with the problems after they've already developed. So in our ideal world, we want to stay in the spiritual realm, in the energetic, and deal with things before they occur, so that we have the best opportunity of really getting a hold of this and getting the best response, not having to deal with it as a physical condition, perhaps an illness or a weakness in the body or just an unpleasant emotional or mental state. That's the ideal. However, as I said, so many are reporting depression and anxiety during this awakening stage. It's clear we didn't get our work done in time, that trauma is coming up, that the past is keeping us prisoner, that we are not able to make good decisions about the spiritual because we are being held hostage by the physical. So we got to kind of reverse engineer this and help the physical calm down. So they're going to help us today. Let us examine what you can do to counteract signs and feelings of depression in the physical body. The first two suggestions are generally the prescription for every ailment that presents itself. So right here they're telling us, if you just do these next two things, your life, your physical life physical body is going to feel a heck of a lot better. Diet and exercise. It's probably the last two things we want to hear because they've been fed to us so often, but it really is true. In order for the physical body to enjoy good health, it must be fed an appropriate diet and given ample exercise. The body is a beautiful machine, and it must be attended to like a fine luxury motor coach. Now, here is where they are going to identify diet no-nos. Please understand they do not advocate one diet for all. You must eat according to your body. Everyone has peculiar ways that their body operates. So eating like your neighbor is not going to help you. Eat the way that your body receives maximum nutrition, following these rules. Eating processed foods that have been genetically modified or altered with fillers does not allow the body to function optimally. We do not advocate any kind of fad diet. Okay, before we do that, I want to just look at this. When I was growing up, we always ate from a farm stand. My mother happened to be the daughter of a nurse, and she was a home ec major. And so our vegetables and poultry came from a farm stand, and our meat came from a butcher. We didn't know about genetically modified foods, and we had never experienced any kind of fillers because she did very little canned food or processed food. And actually, when I was in high school, I had friends that would say, "Oh, let's go to Burger King." And I was thinking, I've never been. That sounds really fun. I had one friend who loved Burger King. My body really couldn't do it. It wasn't too excited about Burger King. I'll explain that in a minute. But that's just the way we ate. We didn't think of it as any kind of deprivation. That's just kind of what was on the table. and we never thought about it. So I kind of had an advantage in that way, which later turned out to be really important, and I'll explain that later. But anytime I try to eat something today that is processed or has a lot of preservatives or that high fructose corn syrup in it, it is an unpleasant experience. So when we're talking clean up your diet, if you were just to do that, just to start buying fresh fruits and vegetables and cooking those or eating them raw or putting them in a soups or something like that, you would get a relief from the toxic buildup in your body, is the body is not able to process high fructose corn syrup. It cannot digest it. It cannot digest the preservatives, and it has a very difficult time digesting genetically modified food. Depends kind of what they've done to it, how much modification it's received. The further we get away from the food's original state, the harder it is on the body, and then that stuff just sits there and builds like a layer of resistance in the body, the preservatives and other things like that, until enough time of not eating them goes by and the body's able to start shedding them, releasing them through sweat and in your urine and feces. But otherwise, it just kind of sits there and makes it even more difficult for the body to digest and absorb nutrients. Okay, so back to them. We do not advocate any kind of fad diet. That means any extremes. However, we must insist that you eat as close to the ground as possible. Eat fresh foods, vegetables, and fruits as opposed to canned or highly processed. This doesn't mean your food cannot be cooked. It simply says stay away from food that's filled with fillers, such as high fructose corn syrup or preservatives, and don't ingest food that has been modified for higher yield or disease resistance. The body cannot break down food which is removed from its natural state. It's like asking a gasoline-powered car to run on water. It won't go very far. Your body, which needs an adequate amount of water, not sodas or other sugar-filled drinks, will experience engine failure if it doesn't receive the proper food and water. So just for a minute, diets that are not in the omnivore category may be considered fad diets. This means vegan, vegetarian, paleo, is it keto? Any of these diets that ask you to eliminate certain food groups, you need to decide for yourself whether that feels good to your body. Please don't do it based on the fad or because someone else is doing it. If your body requires all of the food groups and you've decided to eliminate 2 of them, you're asking your body to really take on a lot of stress. So evaluate your diet based on your body requirements, but please eliminate the processed, excessively processed, preservatives, high fructose corn syrup, and other fillers, and the GMO foods. When the body cannot get any nutrition or hydration from the food it's eating, it begins to go into either hyperdrive, panic, or slow motion depression. The body is not receiving what's required to function, so it begins being unable to operate smoothly. The brain is starved for fuel, and a malfunctioning brain cannot properly direct the rest of the body or its thoughts. Because the body is starving, even though it may have just eaten, it will feel panicked and fear for its survival, which leads to depressive thoughts and actions. If you have ever, and I have, and I'll explain when, been in a position where the body is not able to operate from the food that it's being given, you feel like you're not even capable of operating your body. It becomes quite scary and certainly panicked. The depression then further depletes the body's feeling of well-being and encourages more habits that are unhealthy, such as excessive sleeping or other avoidance behaviors. Not understanding the underlying reason for the discomfort, being unable to get any value from the food ingested, it believes it's under attack, unsafe, lost, and alone. The body may try desperate measures or encourage temporary coping mechanisms such as drugs and alcohol, but no relief is possible until the body is being fed a healthy diet of beneficial foods that can be easily converted into fuel. These addictions that we can get roped into, or I hear things like, I was addicted before I even realized it, or something like that, can often be because the body is asking or craving, sending up weird cravings because it's out of kilter. It's not operating correctly, so it can't send the correct signals, and it sends a confused help me signal that may be misunderstood as a reason to try or to continue with drugs and alcohol. The second area often neglected is exercise, which should be divided into both aerobic and stretching. Get your heart pumping. Feed the muscles and the brain. Sweat out the toxins, but don't forget to stretch and elongate as well. We sit too much. Way too much. Get up and walk around your desk, if that's the only area open to you, at least every hour. Get up from that desk and do a little walking. Do some stretching while you're there as well. Stretch your arms out to the sides, over your heads. Actually, why don't we do a little stretching together once we finish this blog post? So we'll get back to that. In addition to exercise and proper nutrition, remember to get adequate rest and maintain a fairly regulated schedule. The body does best when it has a routine of sleeping, waking, eating, exercising. A responsive body promotes a clearer and happier mind, which helps combat feelings of depression as well as feelings of isolation and separation. And let us please remember the water. We are in summer. Most of us are in summer, unless you're in Australia. But those of us who are in summer, even in winter, when you have to turn the heat on and it becomes drying that way. Water, 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 water. Get up in the morning, drink a glass of water, replenish some of that water that you've lost during the night. Throughout your day, drink water. Nothing with caffeine and or sugar in it will replace plain water. If you are a regular coffee, tea, or Red Bull, or one of those other monster drink people, please make sure that you also add water. I know they're made with water, but it is a misconception to believe that the body can get enough water from those drinks. Please add just plain water to your diet. You can put a squeezed lime or lemon in it, or other fruits. That's fine. But water, water, water. Let me have some. Speaking of which. Okay. Now, the emotional body should also be as well loved and tended to as the physical. A physical body that is feeling healthy is much less susceptible to emotional manipulation. Surround yourself with people who share your desire to enjoy life and who actively seek to support each other as they grow in maturity. The reason we have our Facebook group, Heal Our Hearts, and you're all welcome to join, is so that you will have a group of like-minded people, no matter where you live, that you can engage with. If someone engages in behavior that feels off to you, honor yourself and your emotional body by walking away. Sometimes you cannot walk away physically because they are part of your family. Please honor yourself enough to take a walk, to end the conversation, to get out of battle mode. Stop fighting. You will not convince them through fighting. Just remove yourself from the situation. I often do, or used to, don't have any need to at the moment. I used to do what I called bathroom breaks. If I was in a situation with somebody who was really negative or really forceful, and I needed a minute to compose myself and get my energy back in the right place, I would say, excuse me, I'll be right back. I have to go to the ladies' room, whether I had to go or not. And, go ahead and argue with me if you are going to say, oh, didn't you just go? Just, oh yeah, but I got to go back. Usually nobody argues with the ladies' room break. But go to the ladies' room, the men's room, and take a moment for yourself. Do some deep heart breathing and really pull your energy back in, clear your space, shield yourself, make sure you're okay before you go back out into that conversation. Hopefully they will have gotten bored and moved on. If they're still there, at least you will have some shielding and have gotten a minute to clear yourself of that negativity before you go back and try to be part of the conversation. Depression often comes from the mistaken belief that all hope is lost, that you're alone, or that you, as you are not worthy in the eyes of God. All are worthy. If you feel disconnected, isolated, or shut out, don't try to find your way into emotional well-being by reaching out to others. The minute we reach out and say to someone else, do it for me, is when you become very vulnerable and you put yourself in a position where you don't grow. You're asking someone else to do the growing for you. Not going to work. At some point, you're going to just circle back around to the same place because you came here to do your own growing. First, reach in through the heart center and connect to the divine. Before you go to somebody else, reach in through the heart center and connect to the divine. Allow yourself to experience being loved for who you are. And once you feel this love that soothes, nurtures, and repairs any disconnection that may have occurred, you may then feel guided to reach out to others. Now you're not doing it from a place of desperation. Now you're reaching out because you're interested in sharing. A very different thing. It is from the inside out that any healing occurs. No matter which body, physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, the source of the problem is within. Yet, the answer to the problem is also within. For help with depression or any malady, Go within. Identify the source, and then go deeper and connect to source, the remedy for every problem. You, just as you are deeply loved. Go within and experience complete acceptance and unconditional love. Now, we began this by saying, let's get practical. Let's look at the physical body. The reason we did that was because if you are not eating a diet that is healthy, that your body is getting fed from, you can feel anxious and nervous as a result of that starvation. You may be eating plenty of food, but if the body's unable to process the food that it's eating, you won't be getting any value from the food, and it's the same as starvation or malnutrition. That's going to cause your body to feel either really hyper, or in other cases, it's going to really slow you down, make your brain feel like it's misfiring, and you may feel a lot of confusion. This is why we were really, they were very adamant about starting with the physical body if you are feeling these problems. If your diet is perfect, congratulations, first of all. You're really doing your body a great service. Now you know, okay, it has nothing to do with the food that I'm eating. I'm not hyperactive because of the way that I'm eating. So I then have to discipline myself to calm down and go within. If that seems absolutely impossible, get some exercise. Burn off some of that energy. We're all moving toward the ability to go within, to get quiet, and to get something out of the experience, the meditative experience. If you are jumping out of your seat when you're trying to meditate because your body is either overly caffeinated or overly sugared or feeling or misfiring because it's not eating well, it'll be really difficult to stay in that meditative state long enough to get to that place where you're connecting with Source. So you need to be a good detective and figure it out. What is it that's preventing me from being able to get this calm, quiet, joy place that I want to go to, getting into those high vibrations and staying there? But I chose to really harp on the physical today, first of all, because that's where my guides showed us, and also because I think that we often neglect that. We forget because our culture has accepted a fast food lifestyle in many ways, and these larger companies have slipped high fructose corn syrup into absolutely everything they can get their hands on to increase the amount they can make so that they get more product offering less of value so they make more money. So even if you don't realize it, you may be ingesting a lot of high fructose corn syrup, which can cause your body to really feel crazy. And I'll just share something that happened with my daughter that completely surprised me. And I don't know why I was surprised. But anyway, so we know the answer to every dilemma is to go within and connect with the divine. Move in through that energetic heart center. That's your soul's connection to God. Bathe in that loving Christ light, that unconditional love. Because no matter how damaged your heart may be, or what you may have experienced, you are loved and you are capable of receiving love. You have to allow it, though. It's just we're in this intense energy period. And so I believe that's the reason so many of you are reporting extreme depression and anxiety, is that this is something we're not accustomed to, which is always whenever it's new, there is the possibility for fear to come cropping up. And this is sort of an ongoing, we don't really get a moment to adjust anymore. It used to be we would have periods of energy and then we would sort of have a reprieve. But lately, especially with all of these planets in retrograde, it has been a steady increase in energy. And we have been asked just to learn how to deal with it. Just go with it. Just learn how to function in this energy. And it's causing some reports of depression and anxiety. So, and when that happens, you feel like your body's out of control, and that in itself can be frightening. So we're in a new period of energy that could be frightening. Your body might feel like it's out of control, which can be frightening. And it's hard to pay attention to the spiritual realm and what your guides may be telling you if you feel like your body may be having a problem. Like you may have to be dealing with an illness soon, or suddenly that thing that you took for granted, that ability to do whatever you were doing, is no longer available to you because you're in a panic. That can be frightening. So that's why we want to make sure that we've given our attention to practical answers so that we can address it quickly and easily. Remember, no restrictions on your diet. People often say to me, "Are you a vegetarian or a vegan?" No, I am not. I am an omnivore. I eat everything. I eat everything in small quantities. I don't eat everything. I don't eat processed food. I eat the most naturally occurring food that I can find. I don't have a raw diet either. I cook my food. I eat some of my food raw. I eat the way my body seems to be asking me to eat at the time, and in the quantity that it's asking me to ingest it. I just cannot handle any kind of sugar-filled foods, high fructose corn syrup, genetically modified foods, and now it's getting to the point, anything that has not been prepared well, I can taste like metals in foods and things like that. So getting a little more restrictive just because I have to buy better and better quality. Pretty much organic all the way. Not 100%. I kind of stick to the rule of thumb that if it has a thick skin, that it's okay not to buy it, not to get the organic version. I don't notice much difference in the texture, the taste, or the effect on my body if it has a thick skin. And exercise. So important. I am not an exercise fanatic. I wish I was better at exercising. If I let more than 2 days go, I can begin to feel it. It is really an annoying thing. Like, darn, I really need to get out and walk and walk and walk and walk and get myself breathing heavily, allow my body to sweat, allow the heart to pump, get those toxins out of me, get the muscles doing what they are came here to do, and then drink plenty of water. Water, 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 water. And the stretching. I haven't been good about stretching recently either, and I am feeling it. So, right now I'm making a promise to myself and to you, back on my stretching and walking routine with absolute regularity. So you heard it here. I have got to do that. So, stretching, I said we were going to do a little stretching together right now. So let's do that, because when we sit at our desks for long periods of time, and I have to as well, even though I'm not always on the computer, because if I'm talking with somebody in session, I am not in front of the computer, but I generally am sitting because I'm taking notes. So same thing. So let's stand up and do some stretching. First of all, it's probably going to just feel good if you've been sitting for a while to stand up, to put your body in a different position. We really should be also practicing better posture when we are sitting. So that's another thing you can put on my list. I will begin practicing better posture. I was doing that for a while and I let it get away. I got lazy again. So as we're standing, let's put both of our arms out to the side with our palms down first, and just pull them, push them away from your body as far as you can. Just try to extend your arms out as far as they'll go to either side. Palms down. Now relax, allowing your body to go back into a normal position. Turn your palms up. Push them out in that same stretching motion, as though somebody is on either side of you, pulling your arms in either direction. And now relax. Put your arms together over your head, palms touching. Elongate the body. Push the arms up as far as you can with the palms together, pushing. You should feel stretching in that lower back especially. And the lower back is a place of vulnerability for many light workers. But it's very good to stretch and exercise and get that area in optimal shape. Another thing you can do is bending your elbows at the waist. And holding them at about waist height. Just begin going back and forth, side to side. Again, that's going to help that lower back area, as well as your waist. And it's just so good. Your body has been sitting in a rather static position for an extended period of time. It is great to force it to move. Look in the direction that you're going as well, so that the head is going in a different direction. Do some neck rolls and some neck stretches. Neck rolls, moving the head in a circle, but don't forget to go back and to go forward and to go side to side. Those are wonderful little stretches. If you are dressed appropriately, you can also, and I encourage this, touch your toes. Again, getting in the stretch. If you're not able to touch your toes, bend your knees, and as you become more and more flexible, try bending your knees less and less until you're able to touch your toes without bending them at all. It's just really good to help your body, which is your house. You have to help it stay in optimal condition. Just like you clean your house and take care of your house. And, if you see that something is starting to rot. You might replace the wood there. But look at your body and say, is there a place in you that's starting to break down? I need to take affirmative action and help you build it back up. Please don't say there's nothing I can do, or let me run to the doctor and get some drugs to counteract this effect. First, try changing your diet to be more supportive and exercising. If it gets to the point where you don't see any change after a reasonable period of time, or you are getting worse, and reasonable has to be up to you, then of course, go to your doctor and get help, support your body. Or if you have let it go too long and you suddenly get, let's say a heart attack, you don't say, let me change my diet and start exercising and drinking more water. You go get help for the heart, and after the heart has the help that it needs because it's already in crisis, you begin repairing the damage that was done. So if you're in an acute situation, please go get help immediately. Then walk it back by repairing the damage that may have been done to the physical body once you're out of that crisis situation. So if you're not yet in crisis, start now with diet and exercise and plenty of water. If you're already there, go to the doctor first and then begin helping your body become healthier. Okay, so that was my little stretching workout with you. One of the things that I always do is try to be looking at what other people are recommending or advising so that I can keep you as up to date as possible. And one of the people that was shared with me is a guy named Jim Quick, which is his real name, and he is a memory and cognitive function guru. He can quickly memorize like 100 people's names in the audience and say them back to them accurately. Well, I listened to one of his videos. He's got quite a few on YouTube if you're interested, and he gave some really great tips. But one of the things that I thought we could use immediately, of course, he's saying, adequate rest and have a good routine, because if you're not trying to think of 25 things at once, but you have a routine that you're working through every day, you have more of your brain available for this new thing that you want to do. So if you're a person that's having a problem remembering, why did I walk into this room or something like that? You might try getting a more organized schedule. But he said, before you start with any caffeine beverage, and I don't think he advocated drinking caffeine at all, but before you start with a caffeinated beverage in the morning, drink water, just plain, pure water. And I started doing that and noticed, yes, it does bring a vitality to your body. First thing in the morning, the first thing you do is drink a nice, I like cold water, it doesn't have to be cold, a nice glass of cold water. And I just kind of feel like my whole body plumps back up and gets online after sleeping. But remember, we got to do everything in moderation. So anytime you are making adjustments to your diet, don't do 50 things at once trying to figure out which thing will work. Better to make one adjustment at a time and see how you feel. First of all, if you are or have been eating genetically modified food and food filled with preservatives and high fructose corn syrup, just drink more water, add more water into your diet as you slowly introduce foods that are higher quality. Expect some period of not feeling great because those toxins have to leave your body. There's going to be an adjustment period. So you might want to start a little bit of exercise, but you may find that you're needing to have a little more downtime, a little more relaxation as your body adjusts. It might take you a week to adjust. So even if you decide that you need to be on a special diet, vegan or vegetarian or one of those, I would suggest that you ease into it gently. Always increase your water. That helps your body deal with anything. And at least walk so that your body gets movement and that blood is circulating better. But don't rush in to major changes unless it's something like cutting out the high fructose corn syrup and the preservatives, and because that will give your body a chance to release all of that stuff that has been stored. Now, working on the emotional body, I want you to take a step back from negative people because it's not your job to change someone else's behavior. You just shine your brightest. That's all I want you to do. Be a great example. But you can't live anyone else's life. Most of you on this call are empaths, probably 100%. So you are going to feel the pain. But the reason you're feeling their pain is not so that you can absorb it and heal them that way. That's not your job. It's just so that you can send love to them and they can feel like, oh, now I have a little extra energy to do what I know I need to do. If they are feeling pain in their life, it's there for a reason to help them deal with the situation, to become aware of a behavior they're engaging in that's not serving them so they can change it. It is not so that an empath will come along and take it away from them and they learn nothing. Your job as an empath is to be a support person. Give them love, help them by making it easier to deal with the problem, but don't try to take it away. So I told you that I would share with you both my story and then what happened with my daughter around food and why I am so very careful with my diet, and that is when I was, and it seems to run through my side of the family, so both of my biological children have the same problem. When I was a late high school, so late teens, and I think this happened with my sisters as well, we started having both anxiety and depression, sort of both sides of that same coin, problems. And, at first it was, it's just high school. That's what high school is like. In my particular case, I gained quite a bit of weight. In my daughter's case, she lost a tremendous amount of weight. It pretty much depends on your metabolism. But we started feeling not so great, not so very lethargic, not clear, very hard to think, starting to shake, even though I didn't feel nervous, starting to shake. And so clouded in my mind that it was difficult to concentrate. Now, this is so long ago for me that when my daughter called and said, this whole list of symptoms, I was like completely out of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to go get a physical. I wonder if you've got some sort of weird flu. That sounds terrible. I had forgotten because it had been so long. Those are the classic signs of hypoglycemia. And I didn't she had been able to get away with it and get away with it and get away with it. Hypoglycemia, we have low blood sugar. We cannot metabolize regular sugars, can't even touch high fructose corn syrup. It's like sending us to an early grave. But we cannot metabolize sugar. So we really, all processed sugar must either be eliminated from our diet or kept to an extreme minimum. Even fruit sugar, you have to be careful. You pay attention to how much you're eating, and you have to eat regularly, or you could, if you let it go long enough, you can completely pass out. I've now stabilized mine to the point where I'm in pretty good shape for most of the time, unless I don't eat, and then it can creep up on me and I will have to get something that my body can absorb quickly, or I will pass out. Okay, so she calls me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I don't know. Are you scared? Somebody hurting you? Or do you feel in danger? She said, I don't know, but I'm shaking, and it is scary to shake and not know why, and I feel like I'm going to pass out, and I just can't function. So then, luckily, her summer roommate happened to say to her, oh, I can't eat at the dining hall because I'm allergic to corn. Oh my gosh. My daughter called me. She said, guess what's in every sauce, every thing they make here, except for maybe the baked chicken, even in the hamburgers? High fructose corn syrup. To extend the amount of food they get per pound of meat, they've added high fructose corn syrup to absolutely everything. And that steady diet of high fructose corn syrup forced her body to go into that hypoglycemic state. Whereas while she was living at home, she could get away with a lot of candy and cookies and things like that because the rest of her diet, because of me and not being able to eat anything that was had preservatives in it or high fructose corn syrup, was so clean that her body said, okay, we'll assimilate this sugar without too much difficulty because we got all these reserves over here. So all these years growing up with me, all these kids had to eat these diets that were pretty close to the earth because I wasn't able to eat another one. So we never did the McDonald's, Jack in the Box, Burger King things because there was never anything there I could eat. Once they came out with salads, then, maybe we went for every once in a while, but it just wasn't ever on the radar because I was the one that had to have something to eat or go into a tough state. And so we had to choose some place to go if we were out of the house that allowed me to eat too. So they never had this growing up. And so once her body got hit with all of these fillers, preservatives, and all this high fructose corn syrup, she went down. She immediately lost like 15 pounds, maybe more. She just kept losing weight. Less and less hungry. The body is becoming completely confused. Can't figure out. Doesn't understand anymore. It's not operating. Her brain is starting to get really cloudy. Can't remember, can't think. Starting to shake. She's trying to do a lab in chemistry, and she said, I was shaking so badly that I kept mixing solutions by mistake that were supposed to stay separate. But her hand was shaking. It got so bad. And I don't know why I just, as I said, it had been so long for me since I had been in that place, and she had never shown signs of hypoglycemia before. So I just disconnected, and I thought, oh my gosh, she must have a virus, some terrible thing. Go right over there to the infirmary and have them do a complete physical checkup. Luckily, the angels came through, and her roommate says, I can't eat at the dining hall because I'm allergic to corn. And we found out this child had been ingesting for a year a steady diet of only high fructose corn syrup until her body literally was starving. And she felt like she was going to pass out often. So she has completely redone her diet, given up on the dining hall, and now one thing we always do is carry food with us, just in case. We have a pack of dried fruit and some sort of nuts, just in case we can't find anywhere to eat. And she says it took her about a week. She said, for a week I felt worse, and I hated you for telling me that I had to do that. I didn't believe you, and I wanted to quit. But now I'm finally feeling better. She said, I thought you were lying to me, Mom, and I was going to go back to the doctor and say, you've got to find something wrong with me because it doesn't help at all to change my diet. If anything, it's making it worse. But about a week, maybe a little bit longer, and she said, I'm really getting something from my food now. I feel much better when I eat. I'm not having these periods where I feel like I can't think and I want to pass out, and I'm not shaking. And because of that, she feels much less anxious. And so everything is beginning to fall together for her. So that's one time when if I had said to her, just do more meditation, she never would have been able to. She was physically falling apart. So getting to meditation was not going to be possible. First of all, she probably would have just passed out during the meditative session because she wasn't getting the food that her body required to keep her going. So that's an example of why sometimes you need to attend to the physical. Now that she's on her little track, she'll be fine. She'll build up, and in a short time it'll be like normal, and she'll be able to go for longer periods without eating. But right now, especially with her extreme weight loss, she needs to eat even more often. But the body will get a chance to build up again and stabilize, and then she does need to spend more of her time if she's feeling anxious about school or friendships or whatever, in that meditative state. That would be the more logical place. But her problem came because she had not addressed this at its source. We hadn't realized. I never thought to look at the ingredients in the dining hall. When I went to college, the food was just bad, but it was low quality, but there were no fillers in it because we didn't know about that yet. So never occurred to me to look at the ingredient list to see if it was supplemented with some sort of sugar until we really had to do something about it. So we are coming to the end here, but before we do, we just have a couple of minutes. Anybody having a problem with depression and anxiety that they could use some support on right now, *2 to raise your hand, and let's see what we can do to help you. Tina, hi, honey.
Hi, I don't have depression, but I just want to say thank you for everything.
Oh,
and say hello to everybody and tell them, maybe I have a beautiful and blessed and amazing day. I just want to say I had a breakthrough. You got me through a beautiful week, but it had to come through when you were saying meditate, and I think that's my next the step I'm into now is meditate, like you're saying, meditate, ask your angels. In the beginning, I was like, oh, are they going to listen? But I totally agree with what you're saying now. And because I woke up in Twilight Zone, I just noticed that I heard a song, and the song was just saying, rely on God. I don't want to defend anybody, but source, whoever they believe in. I'm totally with the religion, but what I say is God. And so it was just saying, rely on Him for everything, for when you're getting up, for when you're going to make a decision. Everything you talked about, that song came on, and it really hit me in the head. So I just wanted to say it propelled me to really say, okay, no one's going to get me out of being by myself. No, even having a husband is not going to help me. I feel like I don't know my husband or my daughter or anybody, friends that are not awake. And not that I don't understand them. I can't interact with the negative now. It's like right away when I feel it, I have to walk away. Before I used to sit in it. And like you were saying, don't give it that. Talk to the angels first.
We all did. I mean, we're all on this journey. We're all learning. Take a bathroom break. That's about that's like my big answer, because you certainly cannot engage. And the minute you pick up the sword and decide you're going to battle them and you're going to make it right and you're going to show them, you're totally doomed. That's the end of that.
Yeah, you're right.
That negativity will just eat you alive, and they've got plenty more where that came from. So once they've chewed you up and spit you out, they'll just go on to the next person.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like I said, I meditated. I asked the angels. That is working. The only thing is, like, if I'm around someone too long, I'm picking up, like, my husband's nose. I guess he has allergies. And I was cooking, and all of a sudden my nose started dripping. And I was like, I don't got a cold. And he was like, oh, my nose. And he started sniffling, and he was going to, and I was like, oh, please don't do this again. So my body is reacting more to people's bodies. Like, if they're sick, I'm getting headaches. But I have to remove them. Like you said, just remove yourself. It's not yours. And it's like, I'm not trying to do it. I was just like, I'm not doing this. God, it's yours. And I walk away, but still, I'm standing there and I don't even know that my body's wanting to, pick up someone's sickness. But you're doing an amazing job. I just want to say, I guess I'm at another stage of what you're showing me what to do. And thank you.
All right, honey. And I've got a stuffy nose again. We also are dealing with some climate changes that are not healthy, and be as supportive of your physical body as you can. That's going to help you not pick up stuff. They're telling me we need to honor the what may appear to be an extended period of rest. We may go through periods where we're really high energy and we can go, and then we may enter a sort of lulling period where we need extra rest, and just allow yourself to go with that, as long as you're eating well and your body isn't throwing off fake signals, then just allow yourself to go with whatever you feel you need to do in order to make your body happy. It's only when
you're right.
It's, when we're not eating well, the body gets confused. It doesn't know, like with hypoglycemia, the body will tell you, eat sugar. It's starving. It needs energy. But that will make you pass out. You might be okay for 5 minutes, and then you crash so hard, you're on the ground. What the body really needs is protein, but it doesn't know that because it's starving, so it's just shrieking at you. And you've got to be wise enough to realize, okay, sugar's going to send me down the wrong chute. I got to eat protein even though I don't want it until once the body's stabilized, then it will tell you. Then you'll realize that's all you want. You don't want that sugar. It doesn't even look good to you anymore. You want that protein. But before you know what's going on, it's easy to get caught up in the false signal. I'm starving, sugar, give me some quick. And then you're on the ground. So that's why you got to support the body with good food. So while we're in this crazy energy, you can accurately figure out what you need.
Yeah.
And it's not
and
such
then
a
disconnecting from everybody. I think that's the stage is like now I have to really disconnect from my husband, my daughter. Like I thought, okay, maybe it's me. Then when you said ask the angels, I did. And it takes a while. But I finally got my breakthrough that, it's not, and I thought, oh God, I'm on the way out my house. I'm not going to be with these people anymore. But what it is that you still have to engage with everybody. The only thing is pick your battles, and the battle is walk away. So thank you. You did an amazing job.
Oh, you're so welcome. Oh, whoa. Time's going by, and we got one other hand. So I'm just going to say one more thing. Give them time to reach you where you are. You've done a tremendous amount of work. You are way up there in that high level. Now you have to be a bridge by letting them have their little moments and just being non-reactive, being neutral, and when you can't take it, walking away. Walk away. Don't battle with them. Just be the example. I'm still calm and peaceful.
Well, you're my hero, and I just want to say I love you. And oh my gosh, you're a godsend, and you're my angel. Well, everybody's angel, but I don't want to just keep you. No.
Well, you're mine. All right, love you, honey. But I've got one more.
Okay, love you too. Bye.
Nancy, how are you, honey?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What can we help you with?
Well, you asked for people struggling with depression. I'm good right now, but it's been a major issue. I think I'm coming out of it, but any advice you can give me, I will appreciate.
Okay. Now, I know because I understand, or you've shared a little bit of what's going on in your world with me. So you've had a lot of major changes in a short period of time, and that can be a little bit of settling in, that can lead to a feeling depressed because you're out of your routine. When that happens, I would definitely, if you are physically able, spend a little more time in meditation, connecting to God, getting something that feels secure in your life, that something that can hold your hand kind of energy. Because so many things are changing right now. The other thing is we've got to remember to stay busy with things that feel good to us, because when we have too much downtime, we get into trouble. We can tell ourselves things that are not true, and we can make up stories that are very hurtful. So you might want to find activities or people that are fun to be around, that can support you in what would feel good to you, so that you don't have too much time on your hands to tell yourself bad stuff. You know what I mean? Because I've been there. I've done all these things. And so you don't want to be praying constantly, because then we're not listening. Then we're looking at what's wrong. Oh, God, can you fix this and fix that? And it's, what's wrong? We want to be in that receptive, meditative state, and then moving from that into an action place that feels good, something Can you go meet a girlfriend for lunch? Can you, go do, but not somebody negative, not somebody that wants to tell you all the things that are going wrong. People that are actively engaged in improving the quality of their life and would want to encourage you to improve the quality of your life. So I hope that helps. And also, of course, diet can be a big deal with that, especially with the amount of change that you're under. You can forget to eat because you're busy doing something that needs to be taken care of, and that's important. With moving and things like that, that's always part of the, oh my gosh, look at this, it's 4 p.m. and I haven't eaten in all this time, and suddenly I'm crashing. So, make sure you build in healthy rest times and you get some healthy food in you that will support you.
Thank you.
All right, honey. All right, everyone. Sending you all my love. And until next Wednesday, I just want you all to know you are loved by me, you are loved by the divine, and you can never be disconnected or do anything that could disconnect you. All right. Love you all.